Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thank you for your patience, and we finally get to speak.
It's okay. It's been almost 5 years now, so oh, it's been hard, but I basically haven't gone online or anything anymore. I'm trying to slow down at what I'm doing because it's frustrating. But the story is, July 19th, 2020, my daughter was found hung in Houston. I was not informed until 4 days later. And how I was informed was her ex-girlfriend texted me and told me, the text read, they told me your daughter has died. So my husband called the police. The police said they were looking at a file that she hung herself with a sheet and left no note. And that's all they told us. And then after that, the coroner called and stated that my daughter came out of her apartment with a backpack, Nike slide-on shoes, without socks on, set those at the bottom of the steps, walked upstairs. I just recently found out she walked 20 feet down and then hung herself with the coroner said her fitted bed sheet. My problem with that is her fitted bed sheet was previously cut to 21 inches, and they don't have a cut piece of sheet. And the security guard of the apartment complex said that he's the one that called 911 and said that he found my daughter. But my problem with that is this security guard took a picture of my daughter hanging, and she's holding a cell phone in her hand. And, he said he ran to call the police. I got a problem with that. Him running, but yet you took a picture. I have just recently received the body cam footage. And on the body cam footage, there was only one officer that showed up on the scene. The rest were firemen and EMS. Well, on that body cam footage, the fireman tells the one police officer, he said, "This is weird." He was like, "She still has her color." The officer was like, "Yeah, they said it just happened about an hour ago." He was like, "Still, it's weird. She has her color. If I was to choke you within minutes, you would turn the color." He was like, "I'm just saying it's weird." The officer blew him off. They mentioned several times, lots of times, that they were called out there for domestics. But the ex-girlfriend that was the abuser, she was never, ever questioned at all. And she's on an interview admitting she was never questioned. And then you can just, as you watch the interview, you capturing so many lies. So many lies. Like one of the lies is, she was asked, where was she at when she found out my daughter died? She said she was at home. Well, I have a voicemail that says that you were at work. You told me you were at work. What is it? But I have a bunch of screenshots from her, the ex-girlfriend, who is stating that her DNA is not at the crime scene. And it's like, the police aren't calling it a crime scene. Why are you? She's saying all kinds of stuff like the source told her the people who had something to do with hurting my daughter. And it's like, they're saying my daughter hurt herself. And this happened right after my daughter passed, these messages I was getting. I even got a Facebook hidden message in October of 2020 from Zeke Will, which I later found out his real name. And he states that he wants to tell me about my daughter's unaliving, but the M word, and to call him. That was 2 months after my daughter was passed away. Call the police. The police constantly hang up the phone on me. They transfer me to somebody voicemail. That's not involved with this or whatever, and they won't give me any information. They have marked my daughter's case confidential. It's sitting in homicide still, and it's been 5 years, and it's marked confidential. So that means, like, if you happen to call or happen to request for the police report, they're going to tell you, no, you have to contact homicide. I have the homicide officer recorded twice telling me that everybody in the department is on the same page. This case will not be reopened, re-looked at, or reinvestigated. And he's adamant about that. And the police are all brothers. So any police officer I get a hold of, even if they act like they want to help me, they tell me they'll get back with me, or they'll call me back, they never do. They never do, because they've contacted homicide, and I have no idea what homicide is telling them. But if you watch the body cam, if it was she self-unalived herself, then why in the body cam is there so much of it redacted, so much of it blurred out if she actually unalived herself? On that body cam, I can see two firemen bend over by the stairs, by my daughter's apartment, the stairs she walked up. They're bending over, picking up something. And me and my husband are like, what are they picking up? And as we're looking, my husband noticed one fireman, that they both stand up at the same time, but one fireman, they have his hand blurred out because obviously he picked up some. The other fireman, I guess they missed it. They didn't catch it. But the other fireman, if you really watch, he picks up the length of a shoelace, small, black, round cord. And it swings in his hand, and you can plainly see it. It's just a lot. They said on the body cam footage, they said the officer was calling in. He said calling into homicide, and the homicide guy said the last time the police were out to my daughter's house was in March of 2020. He didn't say 2020, but he said March. And he said because they had received a phone call from my daughter that she said she had received a phone call that was a threat to her life. I don't have that in my police report. And when I did request it through Open Records try to play me and tell me that, oh, you got to do something different, I guess, request body cam footage. And it's like, I didn't request body cam footage. I asked you for that report. And I can't, they won't give it to me. And there's just a lot with this, that there's a lot of people involved, not just the police, not just the people that unalived my daughter. It was 3 people. I know who it was. Her ex-girlfriend, 2 friends, obvious. I know who it was. And I don't know. I'm just really frustrated with it all now because, you know, my daughter is cremated, and I've had people ask me why did I get my daughter cremated? Well, for one, I'm not going to be able to afford to get her exhumed if she was here. For 2, I live in Michigan. She passed away in Houston. I didn't know about death or anything. I'm just looking at it like I cannot afford to fly my daughter home. I could barely afford to get myself there. So, it's been real frustrating because it's like I know another case, this girl named Haley, I don't know if you heard of her, but she was shot in the car, and they said that she unalived herself. Well, she has bruising all over her hands, and it's just obvious that there's a bunch more, but it's obvious that she didn't do it.
Sound familiar? Sound familiar? People in the comments. Keep going.
I think her last name's Chenin. Not sure. But with my daughter, if you look at the picture of my daughter hanging that I have, and you blow it up, you could see, without blowing it up, you could see blood on her knuckle. Then when you blow it up, I see bruising all up her arm. None of that is listed in the autopsy. So I figure they're helping the police. I got the hospital record. And it's mighty funny that in April of 2020, they're stating my daughter went to the hospital twice. One of the times they said that she went to the hospital, they had to make her look like she was crazy and wanted to unalive herself. They said she went to the hospital because she slit her left wrist. She took some ibuprofen pills. But yet they diagnosed my daughter with like 30 different things, one of them being homicidal attempt, one of them being that she tried to self-unalive herself, but they don't keep her? I didn't understand that. They did not keep her. They released her and let her go. And it's like she's attempting to unalive somebody and unalive herself, and you let her go? And she attempted to harm somebody else? I didn't understand that. The other hospital record, I can't even think of what that was, but it was BS too. They're trying to make it look like she wanted to unalive herself. So, and I feel that they're covering too. I feel like open records, because I can't get what I'm requesting, I feel like they're covering. Because the open record lady, the supervisor, she told me, I had called one time to ask a stupid question. I just wanted to know why my daughter's name and the police report was blacked out. But anyways, she told me, well, from what I'm looking at, I guess she was looking at her computer screen. She said, you don't have the whole police report. I said, I don't. She said, no, so you're going to have to request the whole report. I'm like, I did that. And I sent her the email that I requested the whole report. She was like, well, request it again. And it was so frustrating, because when that report came, it looked just like the report. Nothing was added to it. And I'm like, what? So somebody told her not to give that to me. They had talked to her. So I'm not getting everything that's involved with this. But I have a ton of evidence. My daughter, somebody, well, I know not somebody, I know who did this, but they unalived her. So, and she was 22, and this happened about 2 weeks maybe before her birthday. She was making plans to come home. Her lease was up July 31st. She posted on Facebook on the 14th. She said, F taxes, F my apartment, I'm going back to Michigan. And days later, my daughter is not here. The police have an eyewitness that this ex-girlfriend, when my daughter was gone, busted out my daughter's apartment window. Busted it out. And they have an eyewitness. And she wasn't even questioned for busting in the window at all. She wasn't questioned. She claimed in the interview, the ex-girlfriend claimed, oh, I just busted the window and just looked in. You broke a window just to look in? No. And then she states, well, everything looked the same, to the bedroom, to the kitchen, to the living room. Well, I'm sorry, you got to go in the apartment to even see the kitchen. So, I mean, you just catch her in so many lies. I know she did this. And that's basically what I got. I know I'm probably leaving out things, because I can talk for hours about this. But I
took notes.
Thank you. I have a lot of evidence. I have a lot of screenshots. About over 100 screenshots. I have screen recordings. I have interviews that this girlfriend did, and it's just like I told the police, I'm not asking you to arrest her and charge her with doing this, but just question her. If they just question her, she's going to put her foot in her mouth like she always does. And you know what I'm saying? Her lie is going to come out because she's lying. And that's why I don't lie, because it's hard to remember what you lie about. So why lie? But yeah, and then the friend, she tries to act like she didn't do nothing. She'll even try to make herself look innocent to the police. Basically, I didn't think none of it, but now I know. When this first happened to my daughter, she sent me a picture of her crying. These fake tears. And of course, I'm like, what? When this first happened, now that is, she's trying to make it seem like she was sad. Like, she ended up talking to one of because the Black Panthers were involved. She ended up talking to one of them, but she knew her. And she sent me the girl's picture and their messages, and they were talking about smoking marijuana together. And it's like, what? And then I took the Black Panther's picture she sent me, and I sent the Black Panther's picture to the head Black Panther dude that I was dealing with, and I sent him the picture because he supposedly sent this other Black Panther to talk to the ex or talk to the friend. And when I sent him the picture on my phone, he was like, who is this? And I'm like, this is who you sent to talk to Ciroc, and that's the fake name. And he was like, correct. How do you not know? I didn't think about it then, but now, how do you not know who you sent to talk to somebody?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just like, everything is weird. And the Black Panthers ghosted me. They totally left everything alone. And I feel like somebody at the police station told them, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because they left it alone. FBI even got involved. And how FBI got involved is because I sent them a packet and a zip drive of all my evidence. And and I didn't send no letter, none. I just sent them that with my information to contact me. Mm-hmm. I'd say 2 months later, an FBI guy contacted me. And I called to make sure he was FBI because they stalked me. They're probably watching now. Mm-hmm. And so I made sure he was FBI. Well, anyways, this FBI guy, he told me basically the police did a thorough job. They did a very good job. He investigated, it's this and that, and he basically left it alone too. But he told me, and I have his little text messages, he told me, oh, I questioned my daughter's friends, Aaliyah's friends, and friends that weren't friends of hers. No, you didn't. So why'd you even tell me that? So when the FBI first called me, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. There's a lot to this. But when he first called, he asked me for my daughter's cell phone. Probably because the picture I sent him, he saw it in her hand. He saw it. And he asked, he wanted to see the last person she texted. Well, like a week went by, and I hadn't heard from him. So I contacted him. I said, do you still want my daughter's cell phone? He said, no, because the Black Panthers had it, and they could have put an encrypted text on it. Oh, that was his response to me. So, what else was I going to say?
So you gave him the cell phone, and he gave the cell phone to the Black Panthers?
No. He said, when I called him and I asked him, because he asked me for his cell phone, I said, do you still want the cell phone? The FBI guy told me no. He said, because I had sent the phone to the Black Panthers to try to get it unlocked, and he said he didn't want it because they could have put an encrypted text. Oh, and one thing I want to go back to, the body cam footage. This police officer, you see him pick up my daughter's phone. It's blurred out. Now, why is it blurred out? He picks it up, and you can see through, you know how you can see through the blurry outness, you can see color or whatever? Mm-hmm. You see, when he first picks it up, you see a blue square, and underneath that, you see a green square, even though it's blurred out. It looks like a text. Then you can see him, like, take his finger and scroll. He's scrolling. You hear the phone beep 2 times. And then, a minute later, a few seconds later, he tells the people that are there, the firemen and the EMS, oh, her phone is locked. Dang, it's locked. He just locked it because you heard it beep, and then when he said it was locked, you seen, through the blur out squares, I seen at the top some red squares, which would have been my daughter's red do-rag. It was a picture of my daughter. That is her lock screen, because I have the phone, and that's on there. That's her lock screen, is a picture of her with that red do-rag. And at the end of the conversation, or at the end of him looking at the phone, that's what you see, because he locked it up. So, and he's claiming it was already locked. So, he made it seem like when he talked to homicide into the corner, he made it seem like he wasn't going to touch my daughter's body. That they were going to be able to come out and do things. And but he asked the coroner, he asked her TOA, time of arrival, and she said 30 minutes. He asked her that because he had to know when to cut my daughter's body down. He cut my daughter's body down because at the end of the body cam footage, he asked another police officer, his sergeant showed up. Well, they went in my daughter's apartment, but he asked the sergeant, he was like, will you call so-and-so while and he made like a little motion. And then he asked, could he cut his body cam footage off? And then he, before he asked to cut the body cam footage up, when he made the sound, he went up to my daughter's body at the bottom. He didn't go upstairs. He went to her hanging at the bottom by her feet. He looked up at her with his flashlight. Now she was covered in a sheet by then. So he wasn't looking at how the knot was tied because you have to go upstairs and actually look at the top how it was tied. He was looking up at her to see how he was going to cut her down. And the knot was tied military style. And she has no knowledge of that. But it was tied a military style knot.
Is anybody that she is associated with military or ex-military?
Yes. There's this guy named Michael who, see, there's lots of this. I was getting a bunch of weird phone calls. I received a phone call from this girl named Bella. I didn't know Bella. And she said she wanted to tell me something. And she started telling me about Michael. She said Michael was her boyfriend. And you know how some females get mad at their significant other and they want to tell on him. Like, okay, I'm calling the police and telling them you selling. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so she told me that my daughter called the police on him and said that she was going to tell about his trap house. And he said he was going to get her. And a month later, she's gone. So he has military knowledge. I don't believe that he actually did it, but I believe he tied the knot. I believe he was the man's strength in the whole situation.
How long after she said that she was going to make this phone call did she pass?
I'm not understanding what phone call.
How long after between the time she said that she's going to call the police on the trap house that belongs to Michael and the time of her passing?
Okay.
Like a few weeks later she passed, or
all Bella said was a month.
A month.
A month later she was gone.
Got you.
And there's my daughter's friends that were not even questioned, her real true friends. Everybody knew about the abuse that she was going through, that this girl that abused her is toxic, she's a narcissist. Everybody knew that. My daughter, I don't have proof of this, but I believe that I do know that they unalived her before they hung her up. I do know that, and I have proof because I have the EMS doctor recorded in Houston because I have an EMS report, and the time that they got, that they were dispatched, to the time that they got to my daughter's body, to the time they pronounced her dead, the times do not match up. How do you pronounce my daughter dead before you even get to her body? Not only that, their notes stated that that my daughter's skin was cold, mottled, and her extremities were showing signs of rigor mortis. And she had only been up there an hour. So I got the EMS doctor recorded. I'm like, well, why does your report say this? He said, from the report I'm looking at, it sounds like your daughter had been gone for a while. And that was the EMS doctor. So, and I went to my family doctor here in Michigan for one of my reasons, and I asked her, would she mind looking at a picture of my daughter hanging and give me her professional opinion? As soon as that woman looked at it, she said, was your daughter unalived before they hung her? I said, yeah, I think so. Why you say that? She said, because pooling of the blood is in her head and it should be at her feet.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you follow the Micah Miller case at all, we have long debated the pooling issue, because pooling where it's located is so important, because its gravity pulls it down.
Right.
And so that would be an indication that, right, because if she's hanging, then the pulling should be further down on her body toward her feet and whatnot, because it's gravity based.
Right. And I guess I'm frustrated because I've contacted everybody under the sun. I mean, there's people that give me advice but it's like I already did that. I've contacted the mayor. I've contacted Nancy Grace, Rachel Ray, anybody you can think of. My daughter's councilman. I've contacted everybody. And I cannot get nothing done. Nobody will call me back.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will call me back. The police out of 5 years have never called me. Never called me. And I'm just frustrated because it's like, wow, I got all this evidence, but because I believe the police are involved, that nothing can be done.
Do you know, in the area that she lived, are there any nearby security cameras? Was footage viewed to see if anybody entered or exited her residence?
Well, the apartment complex she stayed in, it was Village at Piney Point, and they had a security camera by their office that you could see. It was Houston. It was a busy street she stayed on by. And so I know that street had to have some kind of cameras. And there's gas stations, all kinds of businesses over there. There was no cameras right at her apartment. And one thing I don't understand, security guard, I have him recorded 2 years later. I said, so you found my daughter hanging? He said, no. I said, you didn't find my daughter hanging and take a picture and give it to the Black Panthers? He said, no, I was mistaken. I said, if I found a body, I'm going to remember that. He said, oh, yeah. I said, why'd you take a picture? He said, so the peoples could be held accountable.
Peoples?
Yes, and he failed to tell the police that he took a picture of my daughter hanging. He did not tell the police that. So, and then what's weird to me, because in his recording too, he was saying, well, it was very dark out. It was very dark out. So, I'm assuming that it was dark in the area where she was found hung. Mm-hmm. Well, the picture I have of my daughter hanging, there's light all around her. It's lit up. So I'm like, I'm confused. Really confused. I'm this. And all the police reports I got, they list my daughter's name. They don't list anybody else. Like, for instance, a month before my daughter passed, and I'll have to look at the report. I'm in the car right now, but I figured it out. It was like a month before she passed, there was a police report that stated that my daughter was the driver. The story is that my daughter was the driver. Sirach was in the back seat underneath covers. My daughter went to pick up this girl named Tay. Sirach jumped out from underneath covers and hit Tay in the head with a bottle. Tay had to go to the hospital. This is attempted unaliving. Now, my daughter would have gone to prison for this. She had knowledge who was in the back seat. It's mighty funny to me. I spoke to Tay. Tay told me that she's known Sirach for years. She's known Sirach since they were small. Okay, Sirac looks like a straight up dude now. She's a stud. Looks like a straight up dude. So why does the police report state that my daughter was the driver, states her name, says an unknown passenger, which I understand was the victim, and then it says an unknown female emerged from the back seat? How do you know it was a female? So, but all these reports just basically list my daughter's name. I think a couple of them might list the ex-girlfriend's name, but she was never arrested. Never, I mean, she even busted out in one of their disputes. The ex-girlfriend, busted out the neighbor's window. She wasn't even arrested or questioned for that.
Yeah.
So, and I do know the people that throw the hand signs. I know you can't say it. I know I don't know if my daughter was involved with that in South, but they say birds of a feather flock together. They were in that. They're the red and blue gang.
America.
The Bloods, and then the Crips. That's their gangs. So, and I guess nowadays it's different because they can get along with each other because, you know, they just get along with each other. I mean, because I don't know why, but some of them get along with each other because one of the girls that's involved, I know she said happy Crip birthday or something, so I know she's a Crip. And her name is, it's a fake name. Her name is Blue. Well, Crips are blue. That's why her name's Blue. Well, Sirac and the ex-girlfriend, they're Bloods. I have this ex-girlfriend throwing gang signs, talking about Bloods. The girl Sirac, her name under a lot of apps is Sirac Boy, B-O-I, Pyru. Pyru is gang. So, I don't know if my daughter knew something and they didn't want her to tell it. I don't know. And that's funny to me. I don't know if the police, because my daughter she wasn't like the type of person that walks the street and like, you know, but she did do things for money. And I do know that. So it makes me wonder, was the police doing something with her? Because my daughter was very beautiful. Picture of her right there. And, but anyways, in the body cam footage, they call, at the beginning, they say my daughter's name is Aliyah. Nobody corrects them. The whole footage, nobody corrects them. They call her Aliyah like twice. And then at the end of the video, when this police officer that called her Aliyah, because he couldn't say her name right, was talking to the coroner, he called her Aaliyah. And I was like, huh? Nobody corrected you. Now all of a sudden you know her name, right? Then I didn't understand. So I feel like he might have been doing something. They mentioned that they knew my daughter, that they'd been out to her apartment quite a few times for domestics. And they mentioned that in the body cam footage. And if anybody wants to look up at body cam footage, it's on my YouTube channel, Justice number 4, Aaliyah.
And that's where the body cam is.
Yes, ma'am. And then I have a lot of evidence because a lot of stuff you cannot post on TikTok. And they do watch my page, so they report everything. That's why I got to be real careful. So I post stuff. I got a Facebook group, Justice for FOR Aaliyah. Aaliyah Wilson. And I post everything on there. And if you kind of scroll down, that's when you're going to see screenshots and a lot of the evidence, because it's mainly at the bottom when I started it. Because now I don't really post about this stuff. But I even have a voice clip in of, I call it one of my daughter's associates, because I only know of a few people that were her true friends. So I say it was her associate, but she is recorded saying, Miss Denise, I told you. She said that, she was like, I told you. She was like, what I knew. She was like, and they were going to unalive me because of what I knew. She said, until in this day, they're still looking for me to unalive me for what I know. And I got her saying this. She's recorded telling me that they are going to unalive her. But was she questioned? No. Nobody was questioned. Nobody was asked a question. On the body cam footage, you see this man come outside at the end. His name is Mullah. My daughter was found hung right in front of his apartment window. He comes outside at the end, and the police officer told him, well, move away from the body. This is a crime scene. And he said, oh, I'm about to go to work. He knew my daughter. My daughter knew him. He wasn't shocked. He didn't ask no questions about somebody hanging in front of his window. No questions. All the police said was to him, get away from the body, and then they asked him to use the other stairwell. No questions, nothing. Did you see or hear anything? And my daughter was found right in front of his window. Nothing. The police officer also mentioned that, I guess he didn't think it was funny, that the apartment next to my daughter's was a VACO. And that somebody, that night, my daughter was found, busted the window to that VACO. My daughter's next door neighbor, because they didn't knock on any neighbors' doors or anything. My daughter's, I did, when I got there. My daughter's next door neighbor, he told me, and he's willing to talk. He told me, he said, one day he came outside and my daughter was all bloody on the stoop talking about call the police. And then he said, I seen holes in my daughter's walls. He said his walls constantly shook. He knew about the abuse. And he said the ex-girlfriend, he said her name. He was like, she's somebody you don't want to mess with. And this is an older white man. I say he's in his late 40s, early 50s. And he's saying this little 26-year-old is somebody you don't want to mess with. So, because obviously he's seen things. But he told me, I spoke to him, he told me he's willing to speak to somebody if somebody contacts him. He's willing to talk.
Has he told you if he saw anything that night?
He said they were sleeping.
Okay.
They were sleeping and they didn't see or hear anything. But no other doors were knocked on. No doors were knocked on. No doors were knocked on. I'm even sort of kind of thinking the apartment complex is involved. Because, like, I want to say 2-3 years later, after my daughter passed, the owner sold the apartment complex. And the reason why I'm saying that they are possibly involved is because when the police told me they had an eyewitness that the ex-girlfriend busted out my daughter's window, I begged the apartment complex to file vandalism charges against her because the police said they couldn't do none unless they couldn't question her or nothing unless the apartment complex files vandalism charges. I begged them. They would not do it. I cannot understand why they would not do it because the leasing lady that worked with my daughter, she told me that they thought it was foul play from the beginning. But they didn't even go in and question them. Ask them no questions.
So, there's three big things. The biggest things that I've took away from this conversation. All of it's important. I wrote down as many details as I could. Okay, all of it's important. The three big things is why the pulling at the head. That's huge. The other thing is why the military style knot. And the third thing is if she was making plans to go home. It doesn't seem like she would be making plans to hang herself before she went.
Right. She was
Those
happy
are
to
the
come home.
reasons.
I mean, her birthday was August 4th.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, she was excited for her birthday because she knows we always give her money, excited for that. Um, yeah. And I know there's probably some stuff I'm not telling you because I haven't talked about this in a while because I got frustrated with it. But there is a lot. There is a lot. And not only about the apartment complex, I got a hold of corporate. You can get a hold of corporate online. I got a hold of them and they told me that oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for my dog. But anyways, they told me that because the only way you can get a hold of them is emailing them. So they emailed me back and was like, they hadn't heard about it. They're sorry for my loss. And they was like, somebody will look into this and take care of this as soon as possible and we'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard from them. They never got back to me. They didn't take care of nothing. Nothing was ever done. And not to mention that they owned a clinic. And my daughter openly, because I told her I didn't want nobody to hurt her, so tell him. She had herpes. So she was attending the clinic that the apartment complex owned for herpes. And to me that was very strange because I found her herpes medication on her bed when I checked her apartment, and she had just gone to the doctor's, got it filled. And I spoke to the doctor, and she told an Indian lady, and it was also an Indian man that owned the apartment complex, so that was probably his wife. But I spoke to her, and she told me that when my daughter came in to get her medication, she seemed fine. Nothing seemed wrong with her at all. She was happy. She was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's weird to me. A couple months after that, I was in the car with my husband, and she called me and asked me, was everything okay and how's everything going? And I've never had a doctor call me about something like that. And it's like, that's weird for her.
There's a dog in there.
Yeah, to call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought it was strange.
Mm-hmm.
So. But that's all I really have on the apartment complex. I don't have too much evidence on that. But if you see the picture of my daughter that's hanging, and people have seen it, they tell me it looks staged because her head is tilted to the side. The ligature mark goes directly around her neck. Goes directly around her neck. It don't go up nowhere near her ears.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
It seems personal to me. So usually, like if a gang wants someone took out, that would not be unless they, you know what I mean. It's more harsh. So it seems like if this was staged, but it was with more personal, like a one-on-one type of hate.
yes, ma'am. And I have, and this is so weird. A lot of people gonna think it's weird. I have a sex video of my daughter and the girl Ciroc.
Mm-hmm.
A month before my daughter passed away. How I obtained this video is the ex-girlfriend sent me the video. Ciroc also sent me the video, but Ciroc cut the caption out. The ex-girlfriend did not cut the caption out. I always thought my daughter sent the video to the ex-girlfriend to make her jealous or something. No. Ciroc sent this ex-girlfriend the sex video and said, this is how you keep your girl? I'm like, but Ciroc cut the caption out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why'd she do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then Ciroc, she told me that night that my daughter was found, she was at a party. And the police came to the party. And my mom has my location, which I've never seen because it's a lie. And I was like, well, what, you was at a party? I was like, that's not no proof of nothing. that you was at a party, because you could have heard about a party that the police showed up. I said, that's not proof unless you actually have interaction with the police and they can be a witness for you.
Mhm.
And she don't have that. And
Can we talk about for a minute the cell phone? Which hand was it in?
oh, I never even thought about that. But it was in her left, and she was right-handed,
She's right-handed. Thank you for that.
and I never even thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's what I was thinking about. Which hand? Because
I
it seems to
believe
me like it was placed in her hand.
that's what I believe. I believe it was placed in her hand, and that security guard took a picture, and they are going around showing people this is what happens if you talk too much. That's what I think. And then I want to know who took the phone out of her hand, because I received the phone in her backpack. So I'm thinking that on the body cam footage, it's blurred out and silent at the beginning of it. You're thinking like, is my volume even on? I mean, is this messed up?
Mm-hmm.
It's silent, but you can see movement through the squares. And then 2 minutes later, two to 3 minutes later, probably 3 minutes, the volume just all of a sudden cuts on.
Mm-hmm. They've redacted it. I wonder
Oh
why.
yeah.
If it's a closed investigation and they're not going to reopen it and they're never going to do anything with it, then why are they hiding the audio?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because he was on his phone, and you could see that he's on his phone because his arm keeps moving, and you see a little blurred out. It looks like a cell phone in his hand. You can see him keep moving it. So it says he's talking to somebody, telling them at the scene, take the phone out of her hand, put it in the backpack. Because we got the EMS, you'll see on the body cam footage, you got the EMS going all through her backpack, fire department. Nobody had on no gloves. Well, the EMS and them probably did, but the police officer didn't have on any gloves. He entered my daughter's apartment with no gloves.
Mm.
No gloves. As soon as you open the door to her apartment, as soon as he opens the door, all of a sudden they blur it out. It's redacted. But you can see to the right a white pile on the floor. It's squared out. When he walks out of the apartment to get in her backpack and get on her cell phone and lock it, that pile's gone. It's gone. And then while he's locking my daughter's cell phone, why do the fire department and them stay behind in my daughter's apartment for quite a while?
Mm-hmm.
They should have not have been in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the officer, he did put on gloves one time. The one time he put on the gloves was to look at my daughter's cell phone.
I've never, and of all the cases, it's just quite odd that someone would be holding their cell phone.
Right.
It's just, that don't make any sense. It's like somebody put it there.
I posted it on my TikTok page, just her hands. You can see
Mhm.
the blood on her hands, the little, on her knuckle, the little blood. But, and then I got a picture. It's a picture of both her hands. And then in the middle is her cell phone, because I took a picture of the cell phone holding it. And then in her hand, it's circled, showing you that you could. I have over 45,000 people that have seen it. And they all agree that, oh, that's a cell phone. And they see it. And I even had some people tell me what kind of phone it is.
Wow.
So it's,
Everybody in here, make sure you give justice for Aaliyah's mom. What is your name, ma'am?
my name's Denise McClendon.
Denise McClendon. Okay. Make sure you give Denise here a follow because I want to look into this story. There are a little different factors, but the big ones that stand out to me, I added one, and somebody asked this in the comments. Was the high, and I don't know if I'm saying this right.
Nope, I know what you're about to say. Was a high boy bone broke. Nope,
Right.
no damage inside or out to her neck. No damage.
Oh. What? That has to mean she was go. I mean, it's totally staged.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you look at the picture, you can just tell it's staged just by looking at it.
Oh my God.
But I can't seem to get no help. Okay, this is the statement, if you don't mind me reading it to you, that was blacked out in the police report. Let me see if I can get it, of my daughters. That, oh, I just seen it. Hold on, give me a second. And what's the picture of her? And
Yes, Kelly.
that's blacked out. Hold on, I'm getting to it. I got a lot.
Yes, Eva. I believe. I mean, just listen. Right? Is it? Have you guys ever heard of a situation where someone does that to themselves, and then there's no damage to their neck whatsoever? That's weird, isn't it? Good morning, DC. Look, we have 34,000 likes. Let's see if we can get to 50,000 likes, and we have 207 souls in this room. If you are wondering who we are speaking to, it is Miss Denise, the mother of Justice for Aaliyah. And we have been talking about the circumstances surrounding her daughter's passing and the odd things about it, and the police's lack of caring. It seems like, and we are going through with this in the Micah Miller case with Robinson County. They just kind of said, "Oh well, it looks like that, so it must be that. So we're going to write it's that, so we can wrap it up and move on to the next thing, without the investigation that it deserves."
Yeah, well, I found out going through this that most people don't know. Police police don't have to investigate. They can pick and choose what they want to investigate. They do not have to investigate. So me, it's like, why the police here? What for? Why we got police if they can choose? But I'm still looking for my daughters. This I sent to, okay, tell you this story. At the beginning of this, I was talking to a Lieutenant Sweet of homicide. Black guy. I was happy because I'm like, oh, something gonna get done. Because he knows,
Right.
something gonna get done. No. I emailed him, and I got the emails to prove it. I emailed him evidence. And, he emailed me back and said he got it. Then he emailed me one time because I emailed him and I said, isn't this some strange stuff going on? He emailed me back, yes, there are some strange happenings. And then he retired. He retired after he gave me autopsy results and told me, well, unaliving has no statute of limitation on it. And retired. He didn't even tell me he was going to retire. But anyways, this is one of the things I sent him from, I got a bunch. Her name is Chanel. I'll just give you her first name. It was an associate. You'll understand by me reading it when it was. She says she's texting somebody. And the person she texts, the person she texts says, hey, did you hear anything about Aaliyah? Chanel said, yes. Chanel said, did they get her home? The friend says, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. How did she pass? Chanel, she hung herself. Did they get her home?
If somebody is worried about her being home,
Did they? It's like, okay. There's a lot with this case.
Wait.
She, just a second. She has has access to Facebook, her Facebook account. She's memorialized my daughter's Facebook account. I'd say like, yeah, it's been 4 years. So it's been about 4 years. My daughter had a Plenty of Fish account. I had the picture of it. She was called Foreign Light Skin with some numbers or something. Well, the ex-girlfriend has gone first of all, like 2 years ago, she went on my daughter's account and my daughter's friend messaged me and was like, why is this showing she's logged in and she's dead? Then I just happened to go on the account a few months ago and was really upset because now she has changed my daughter's picture to her picture and she changed my daughter's name. Yes.
Instead of just getting a new account?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Oh, she's toxic. She is very toxic and crazy. Like, at first I was friendly with her to try to get information, even though I know she hurt my daughter, but I couldn't take it no more. Because she was victim bashing my daughter. And this was the last straw. She said, I remember I emailed her 57 times just for her to get back with me. That's stalkerish.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Pina asked, there was no evidence of struggle inside of the apartment?
they wouldn't have told me no way. They had it all blurred out.
See, that and Beast and Beauty had asked us a few times in the comments, and I have to agree. Why is it in homicide if it's a self-unaliving?
Exactly. And why is it marked confidential?
Mm-hmm. And confidential. They either need to continue a homicide investigation or they need to move it over to solved so that we can look at all of the unredacted documents, all of the unblurred video, and come up with, and do our own investigation.
Oh, well, I got probable cause with all of them. Probable cause, okay. With Michael, she called the police on Michael. He was upset.
The house, yes.
Right. With Ciroc. She did the sex video with Ciroc. Plus, Ciroc was in the back seat. My daughter could identify her with the ex-girlfriend. My daughter went back to her a few times. But once my daughter's mind is made up, her mind is made up. And this ex-girlfriend probably begged my daughter. And her mind was made up, and my daughter's like, no, she's going back to Michigan. So that's theirs.
Motive. They each have a motive.
Right. Blue, she did not unalive my daughter. She just happened to be there when they did this and didn't know it was going to happen and was shocked. And probably scared that they would do something to her. So that's why she got involved. She was the lookout person. Why they strung my daughter up. She stole all my daughter's clothing. Let me tell you how the situation was when I got to Houston. It was like probably a week after my daughter passed because I had to get funds up and everything. And I get to Houston. It took me like a week to go to my daughter's apartment. And when I go in my daughter's apartment, I found a bag of soaking wet towels. They weren't smelling. They weren't drying. We had a candlelight visual. I mentioned those wet towels. Now, the ex-girlfriend, nobody showed up to this candlelight. But they had spies there because she called me 5 minutes later. I mentioned those wet towels at the candlelight. That's when the police called and told me they had an eyewitness that the ex-girlfriend busted out my daughter's window. I went back over there. Those wet towels were gone along with all her bras and panties. Now, I just want to read this statement of my daughter's to you right quick so you can get a little knowledge of her. And it's Aaliyah Wilson. It's called Snatch Your Pride. It's dated May 4th, 2020. She says, so honestly, I never done anything like this before. But a few days ago, my ex-girlfriend came to my house without telling me anything about her coming. And she beat it on my door like the police. And I answered. She was so drunk, mind you, she's an alcoholic. I had put up with domestic violence with this girl since we got together for 2 years, dude. I never spoke on the shit because it's hard to speak on things as other things. So I kept telling her to go home, and she would cry, then stop crying and ask me, why does she have to leave? So one thing led to the next. Me kissing her ass just so she wouldn't attempt to hit me like she always does. I backed up in the corner so she wouldn't get close to me. So she swung off on me. I tried my best to restrain her the best I could. She bit my fingers. I can barely move them now.
Oh my God.
Like she broke my window. Did all this all because I wanted you to go home. The police came. They did nothing. Every time they came. Because she lied on me and said I attacked her. And I cannot press charges because it looked like we're both fighting. After all this happened, mind you, my window is broke and I got drunk to the point I made a settled plan to hang myself last night without informing anyone. Because it was pointless. Everybody gets tired of me running to them about that girl. And also, someone came into my home through the window while I blacked out. Now, what I have to say about that? How I told you they had their her Facebook information. Mm-hmm. This is off my daughter's Facebook. She went in there and edited it. My daughter was educated. My daughter knows we're all taught in school. Finish our thought. Why is my daughter going to say, my window was broke? Oh, and I made a subtle plan to hang myself and then go back into, oh, and somebody came through my window. Right. That was added in there. But I didn't think about it at first. Right. This is a statement the police has blacked out, probably because they don't want nobody else to see it. Because they'd probably come up with the same conclusion. It's blacked out, so nobody can see it. But yeah, one of the posts on my daughter's Facebook page, I forget the date. It's towards the time she passed. Mm-hmm. Supposedly her stating that I'm trying to do some self-care. I just want everybody to leave me alone. So if I'm not answering my phone or my doors because I'm trying to do some self-care, mm-hmm. You think about it. How convenient is that for them not to put that on our Facebook page so people would not be worried about why my daughter's not answering the phone and why she's not walking around? Mm-hmm. Because my daughter always answered the phone. Always. Or she'd call you right back.
Yeah.
Always. And then, I just want to tell you this, to show you how the ex-girlfriend is. I ran into a post off of Facebook. You know how you can run into old posts pop up that somebody posted and it's old? Uh-huh. Well, this post is from 2018. It's her. And I'm like, well, 2018 is when she met my daughter. So I said, let me read it. It says, listen to this. Good morning, Facebook. So I have a question for all my friends and more. What would you do if you like someone and they really liked you back as well? And y'all both find each other attractive, but they tell you they have an STD that is curable or whatever. But you really like this person. How would you go about the situation? How would you feel? Would you take that risk to be with them or treat them as if they weren't a human being? What? She was looking at her when she first met her like she wasn't human. Mm-hmm. So it's like, did you have plans to use her up? Mm-hmm. And then get rid of her? So, on the interview, I brought this up because this really bothers me. She keeps saying, well, she talks really good. She makes me mad. I'm going to slap her. I was just trying to get justification. I ain't mean it like that. No, you meant it like that. Mm-hmm. Because you didn't say anything else. You didn't try to correct it. So, right. But another thing I thought was very, very strange. I ran across 3 posts. And I finally decided to take a screenshot of the third one because I was like, this is weird. Well, one of my daughter's associates posted it, the one I took the screenshot of, but another person that posted it was Blue. And it says, let me clarify now, and then in capital letters. If I go missing, look for me. I am not running away. I am not going on a trip without letting people know. I am not deserting my family or friends. I'm not just up and leaving, and I have no desire to kill myself. I'm always with my cell phone, so look for me.
When was this post by Blue? What date?
Um, I don't know because honestly, it was shortly after my daughter passed because I was looking for a bunch of information. Um,
Okay, I
but
just needed to know. That was shortly after she passed. That's all I needed to know on
yeah,
that. It sounds like maybe Blue may have gotten threatened.
right. They were scared. So they were posting it to put it out there for the world to know. I didn't do this. If I'm found out deceased, it wasn't by my hands.
Hmm.
Somebody did this to me.
Hmm.
Um,
We've heard that before, haven't we, audience? Very similar to Micah Miller. She said, of course, she was a domestic violence victim as well. That, and I believe that she wrote, if they found a you know what, a GSW in her head, she was not the one to do it. And then shortly after, that's how she was found. So, it sounds like Blue is scared for her life, probably still is. Do you believe that Blue was there?
yes, and the reason why I believe Blue was there, I don't believe Blue knew they were going to do that. I don't believe Blue was involved. I believe it happened. She was scared. So I believe she like stole all my daughter's clothing because she's letting them know, look, I'm in this with you. I'm doing this. She was the lookout. And the reason why I know she was the lookout, when I told you the FBI was involved, FBI, they don't give you much information, but he did tell me that maintenance went to go do emergency maintenance that night. And he thought he saw my daughter standing outside around the time. I immediately said no. I said, if he did not go up and talk to her, that was not my daughter. I said, that was Blue. Because Blue is bald headed like my daughter. She's light skinned like my daughter. She's the same height and weight. I said, that was Blue.
And in your conversations with Blue, have they ever leaned toward any information, any details? I mean, have you straight up asked, was you there? Did you see anything?
They keep Blue away from me. They try to keep her information away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I can't really talk to her. But the times I have spoken to her, she has told me that she didn't do anything. Um, I have let me see if I can find her statement here because I only have like maybe one or two screenshots of Blue. Um,
Thank you, Lisa.
oh, but Blue. Now that I'm here, let me tell you about this. She had posted, and the date is July 26th of 2020
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok. Of course, she's blocked me now. But she posted, in which she went by the name Vaughn. And she posted, it says, my sister's keeper. That's what she always said. And then it says, unalivened awareness. And then it says, gone too soon. They took my sister, my best friend, my lifeline. They, who's they? Also, I can just tell you about it instead of looking for the screenshot about Blue.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I asked her basically to take a lie detector test.
Mm-hmm.
She replied, there's no need, ma'am. If I didn't take a journal, all I took was, she said all she took from my daughter's apartment was a comforter and like maybe a t-shirt or something. Well, the ex-girlfriend told me that all Blue took out my daughter's apartment was pictures. So that's two different statements. Then the ex-girlfriend has saying, I told you, Blue, I gave Blue the journal. I thought Aaliyah wanted her to have the journal. So I have her admitting that Blue has the journal, that she gave it to Blue. But then I have another statement of hers, Courtney, the ex, sorry. The ex saying, Blue never had her journal. It's like, huh? So it's like a lot of stuff. She can't keep her story straight.
I can see that. I find it interesting. My sister's keeper gone too soon. They took my sister, my BFF. They who?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. They. Who is they? And my daughter's window, since she passed away, was not busted once, but twice.
I just want to take a minute, ma'am. I don't mean to interrupt you, but Lisa Gonzalez, you have sent 6 subscriptions, and I want to sincerely thank you for that. For all the new subscribers, come on into the Discord, and the way you get in there is to hit the subscribe button like you're going to subscribe again. And then under benefits, you're going to see Discord, and then over to the right, you'll see connect button. Hit that connect button again, 5, 6, 7, and then you can come into the Discord. She just sent another one, so that's 7 total. Susie Q, you got one of those subscriptions. Congratulations. Make sure you come into the Discord. I'm going to make an entire folder for Miss Aaliyah, and I am going to put in there all the evidence. That's what I do in my Discord for my subscribers, is share the evidence, and that's why, and then because it takes a collective mindset.
Right.
And these ladies in the comments are very, very good at helping me look at clues and point out things, and so I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going, if you could, I'm going to go to your things and get everything that I can.
If you send me your email, message me your email, I can, the only thing because I'm not computer or tech smart, my friend put everything into a file for me. The police report was put in a file, so I do have it. It's just, I can't send it because I got to rescan it and try to get it back in there. But I can send you all the evidence I got, except for the voice clippings. The voice clippings I can send you off Facebook.
Okay.
I do know that, but I did want to tell you this one more statement of my daughter.
Okay.
On June 2nd of 2020, she's texting a friend. She says, "Hey, best friend, this is Aaliyah. Had to change my number." The friend said, "All right, got you." My daughter said, "Courtney is harassing me again." The friend said, "For?" She said, "I don't know. That's why I changed my number. Her guy best friend that assaulted me as well. They were both playing on my phone." And what she's talking about, her guy best friend that assaulted her? Courtney came over to her house, broke into her house with a man and a female. Man and female, beat my daughter while Courtney stood above her, watched, and laughed. Now, the police told me that day they heard my daughter say, "Are you ready?" Anybody's going to sit there and they're not just going to stand there, "Okay, beat me." They're going to, of course she said, "Are you ready?" She was going to try to fight. She was a fighter. She was going to, she'd have fought y'all. And if she lost, she lost.
Right.
But, of course she could say, "Are you ready?" Because she knew they were about to get her.
Yeah.
That's like what I don't understand either. One of the police reports states that my daughter had this female and man living with her, and they wouldn't pay rent. She ended up making them leave and whatever, but they went to go live with somebody else in the apartment complex. It says my daughter went to where they went and tried to start a fight with a very large knife. Why would she do that when she knew she wasn't getting paid? She got him out of our apartment. And then why don't you name the people who was in the apartment, or why don't you even name who she was trying to attack with the knife?
Yeah.
You just named my daughter. Yeah, a lot of reports are like this.
Your daughter was a huge domestic violence victim.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just absolutely been wore out in the last times of her life, and that's horrible.
And that's why she was trying to come home. She wanted to get away from all that.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like,
and that's the biggest question for me. Normally, if you're planning to go home, like Micah Miller was planning to move to Africa, that was her mission and her love. And then all of a sudden, you just make. I mean, you have to. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. You know, people make last minute split decisions, but there's too many questions in this case, from what I've heard so far.
right. And usually when they make people make a decision like that, okay, they get depressed all of a sudden. But you know, they drink. And
Right.
there was nothing in my daughter's system. So you mean to tell me she went to go hang herself completely sober?
Right. Exactly. Clear minded, phone in
Right.
hand, military style, pullings in the wrong place.
Oh, let me tell you what her backpack that they said she took and set on the stairs. Let me tell you what it contained. I got her cell phone in there because somebody put the cell phone in there. Her earpods were in there. Those were fully charged. It took 3 months for them to die. There was also her driver's license, house keys, and then you see on the body cam the police officer unzipped the front part of the zipper of the backpack, but it don't mention the front zipper in the police report. But in that front zipper was two tubes, not listed in the police report, but there was 2 tubes of lipstick in there.
Mm-hmm.
So not listed in the police report, but there was 2 tubes of lipstick in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the police officer unzipped the front of that zipper. He looked in there. He knew what was in there.
I see.
Wasn't listed. And then what's weird, you know, usually when you pick up evidence, now correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I believe.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. I think she got disconnected somehow. I didn't do it. I don't know if her phone died or what. Are we lagging now? Frozen? Test on the mic 1, 2. Test. Not anymore. She must have got kicked down. She must have dropped service or her phone died or whatnot. It's time for us to go anyway. So if she comes back in here, it's time to go. I don't mean to not bring you back up to the panel. Wow. But this is going to be a new one, and this takes time, and it will, for me to look at all the evidence and all the paperwork and come up with, you know, my own opinion. And for story reference, I'm going to pull today's audio and make it into a podcast episode, and you can listen to me wherever major podcasts are heard, on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Spotify, so that you can be able to listen to her talk about the evidence and things. And of course, this whole video will be posted on the Big YT, and the title will be Justice for Aaliyah. Okay, I took so many notes. I will. My email, I'll message it to you, but it's Steph's Case Files at Gmail. It's just my username. But I'll message you. I took lots of notes, and I'm going to recompile this and reorganize all of my notes into the story, and then I'm going to put it in Discord in its own channel. So if you are a subscriber, you have access to that at any time, along with other cases that I have in there, okay? Thank you for using the stickers. Justice for Aaliyah, Miss Denise, I'm going to try to help you. I'm no expert. I'm not a law expert. I'm not in, but I will, as a content creator, try to reach out and see if I can get any additional information. And of course, the Discord members would have access to look at all the documents and help me spot anything else that might be off. I have gotten body cam and FOIA's field in Texas before, so I know that you can get those. I'm going to contact them and ask in clarity on why it's still in homicide if it's a cold case. I mean, not a cold case, if it's a self-unaliving for sure case. And if it's not, can it be moved out of homicide and the record's unsealed? so that we can see the rest of that. So we have a long journey with this, but again, it's been 5 years. And once you lose your baby, I assume that you'll spend every day for the rest of your life trying to find out what happened and get justice for her. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Also, by the way, I posted the accident report of Johnny Jacobs, the fisherman, the accident report. That is posted in Discord if you are interested to see exactly what happened that night and see that there's no conspiracy, that it was just a car accident. Please go into Discord and read the note. I will be back tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love each and every one of you very, very much. Very, very, very much. Make sure you follow me on any social media platform. All you have to do is look for the same username and logo. Find me especially on YouTube. And a big thanks to everybody who gifted subscriptions, especially Lisa Gonzalez, who gifted at least 8 of them. So welcome to the new members. Tyler Dole, I have heard of that case, Leslie. So thank you to those who make this possible. Everything is possible because of you. Hey, Henry. I'm around in Discord, and I'll be around the rest of the day if you need me. Until then, have a great day.